Hello, my name is Judy Olinsky, and my relationship to the factory is that I'm part of First Friday and Lycoming Arts and the Williamsport Business Association. And through the downtown, we've been supporting and expanding the arts. And then the factory became a natural expansion of that. And so those other organizations try to work with the factory, with Factory Works, with Mark Winkleman, you know, to create a community-wide support for the arts and what we do here.
Hi, I'm Sarah Setzer. My relationship with the factory is I'm a new tenant. I just got here in June, and I'm actually new to the whole area, so kind of fresh perspective.
I am Sharon Caputo, and I am a tenant here currently, and my daughter shares the studio with me, and I grew up around here.
My name's Paul Glatcher. I got here, I'm a tenant, and I work as a watercolor landscape artist, as well as a portraitist.
Hi, my name is Malika Jackson. I'm a tenant. I've been here assisting my husband for about 10 years.
I'm Ernest Jackson. I'm a tenant here, and I've been a tenant here for 10 years. I moved all around the building, so a lot of people may not know me because I do a lot of work at night. I took advantage of the 24-hour access to the building, and it's a lot easier, you know, because I work during the daytime also. So my own personal work, which I do here, tailoring, and I learned how to make furniture while I'm here. So that's what I do.
Thank you, Ernest, and we'll get more information about all of what you do. Thank you, that was a great introduction. And now we're going to go back around and ask each person to take about 5 minutes and elaborate on when your relationship with the factory first began, if you remember the year, and then to continue on to explain and share one reason that you love the Pajama Factory and a specific memory or experience that you have of the Pajama Factory, and then why this is important to you. So if you need some reminding of these questions, I'll facilitate that. But let's start with when your relationship began and one reason that you really love the Pajama Factory. Judy?
I'm thinking my relationship to the Pajama Factory must have begun in 2001, because that's when we started First Friday in the downtown. And the idea was our downtown was languishing, so we wanted to have people come downtown. So we had on the first Friday of June in 2001, we got a band and we invited the artists to come, and then it just kept happening. And out of that grew Michael Pilato coming to town to talk about murals and winding up staying and doing murals. And then when Winkleman was looking, Mark Winkleman, who bought the factory, was looking for a place to locate, I'm pretty sure he ran into Michael Pilato and what was happening in the arts here. And so this thing just kept growing and growing. So I would say probably 2001. Do I have am I answering more
That's
questions?
excellent. And
Okay,
what are the reasons that you love the Pajama Factory?
Well, one of the reasons I love the Pajama Factory is that in the downtown there was support for the arts, but it was somewhat limited, and especially for the visual arts, because you know there's storefronts and it's much more expensive there. So when the factory opened, that really gave us the chance to expand the arts, and also the artists are all together. And if you look through history, I mean, doing art. And some people act like it's cool, and other people act like, oh my God, what are you doing? You know, it's like, and artists need support for this because it's not something that our culture easily pays for or supports. And so for everyone to be here together has made this stronger and bigger and better. And I really love both the arts and our community. So it's feeding both of those things dramatically. So do you want the specific memory? Or?
Yes.
Okay. I would say my favorite specific memory was that just recently, because of the factory, they had a TEDx talks here, and I got to do one of them. And what my TEDx talk was about how we started doing the things with the arts, you know, to make the community better, and then it just dramatically developed our sense of community and relationship to each other. And I had a book called The 100 Best Art Towns in America, which was the model that I used. But as I researched that model to come up with ideas, it turns out there are thousands of towns like us across America. And this, I think, is something new and wonderful that is happening in America. We've always had the arts, but now we have what I would call the regional arts, and it's coming from the people. And people at the top of our country, our leaders, kind of can't get it together. But on the ground, I think in America, we're getting ready, creating new lifestyles and new ways for tomorrow. So that's why I love the factory.
Beautiful.
All right,
Thank you so
am I-
much. I think you summed it up there, Julie.
Okay.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
All right, so I'm Sarah again. My relationship with this place started only less than a year ago. We moved, my family and I moved from New Jersey, like the actual Jersey Shore. The little town, not the town Jersey Shore. So we moved from the shore, actually outside of Dewshore, Pennsylvania, which is a good hour and 15 minutes from here. So that's where I am right now, and it's been a little bit of a culture shock for us. But it's just, well, we're like way back in the woods. So I've been doing my felt work and stuff, and when we moved up, my in-laws made the basement studio for me, so I have a place to work. But things have been expanding and getting busier, and one day I saw an ad for drag bingo up here in Williamsport, and I was like, oh my goodness, like drag bingo in rural Pennsylvania, this is amazing, I have to go. So I came here, and that was the first time I came here, and it was in February last year, and I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. Like, I've dreamed about a place like this. This is amazing. And I was like, there's no way I can afford a studio, it's so far, there's so many obstacles in the way. And then a couple weeks later, an ad went up for it's the studio I'm in now, was available, and I sent an email, and I was like, there's no way. And like, they sent me an email back with the price, and I was like, I'm from New Jersey, so I was not expecting the price, and I was like, oh, it's doable. So I started, I got in June, and so I've been here since, and I've been loving it. It's nice to have my own space. And the community, and just being around creative people, even though I don't see a lot of people, I'm only here a couple days a week, so I don't see very many people, and I've had a chance to really get involved as much as I want to, because I'm, an hour and 15 minutes away, but I really enjoy what's going on in Williamsport and all the opportunities that seem to be available for artists of all capacities. Nobody's, I was really involved in my art scene kind of on my island. I was from Long Beach Island, so we had a little art community there, and sometimes it would get a little pretentious and a little, different. But here it doesn't see it, there's no hang-ups. Everybody's just doing their own thing, having fun, and really creating. And I enjoy that a lot.
Thank you, Sarah. Great. We appreciate that.
Thank you, Terry. I grew up around here, so this to me is like coming home, and that's the kind of feeling it has. It represents, I don't know, just like that home feeling. I feel like I'm back where I belong. And can you give me the order of the questions? Because I already
Well,
forgot.
yeah, about when you first, you grew up here,
Okay,
so that
yeah.
was when you first
My stomping
had a
grounds.
relationship. Did you ever come to this building before it became the?
Absolutely. Back in the 80s, I don't know really when, but when I was about 14, my cousin had a pizza place downstairs. It was Sunset Pizza.
Yeah.
And Jerry McCullis. And I worked for him for a while, and then it became Donna's Restaurant. So I worked for Donna when she started here.
Mhm.
And then, I don't remember if it was called Mama's Place or Mama's Diner. It was downtown. Recently it was downtown, but it started here. So I started for her there also.
Mhm.
So I grew up like running around this place. And I love it. It's just a feeling of home and belonging and that kind of thing, community, connection. And it was just a wonderful place to grow up around.
So when did you get your studio?
My daughter, Ashley, and I just got our studio back in November. And so we're actually in their old studio. Which has an awesome floor that he did. So.
And what do you do there?
I make jewelry, and I make jewelry and other arts from recycled stuff. That's like really what I focus on. Is I've always picked up junk or trash my whole life. Like I see something, I'm like, ooh, that could be a. So I'm doing that, turning things that were unloved. I guess that's the feeling for me, into something that's going to be treasured, and it's not going to end up in the landfill and that kind of thing. And my daughter paints, so. And who knows what else we'll get into, I'm not sure yet.
Yeah.
Seems to happen. Anything and everything.
Good.
So,
Lots of possibilities.
yeah,
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Carrie.
absolutely.
Paul?
Hello, I'm Paul again, and let's see. I came to Williamsport about 35 years ago. I've been transferred up from Wesley College in Dover, Delaware, as a dishwasher to be a cook up here, and subsequently had another job as a dishwasher. After being here for a while, I met my ex-wife in 1999. We got married in 2000. We were living in the village. And I was starting drawing people's portraits, and it was fairly cheap, $50 a piece, you know, and so I got a lot of work. And moved out from the village and moved into the Center City building downtown. And I was dating a girl, and all I worked with was lead pencil. And she bought me some watercolors for my birthday, and I'm like, what did you buy me this stuff for? I don't paint. So after we broke up and all that, I decided to give the watercolors a try. And my first few paintings were absolute garbage. And so I went out and bought some books on how to control the paint and how much water to use and to get different effects. And I started painting. And I got involved with the First Friday project downtown, and I used to display my work out on the street every First Friday in front of various businesses. And I sold a painting to a woman, and her name was Marilyn Sealing. And she called me up one day and she said, would it be okay if I cut like 4 inches off the top of this painting and it'll bring the subject matter out more? And I'm like, well, it's your painting, you can do what you want with it. So she did, she cut the 4 inches off, and then I had a look at it after she did that, and I went, yeah, it did bring the subject out more. So she said, where's your studio at? And I said, oh, I don't have a studio, I work out of my bedroom. And she goes, oh, okay. So a couple days later, she called me up, and she said, you know where the pajama factory is? And I said, oh yeah. I said, I only live a couple blocks from there. And she said, why don't you meet me over there? So I met her over here, and I'm like, what's this all about, Marilyn? And she said, well, I talked it over with my husband, and we have the means, so we're gifting you a studio. And they paid for a whole year of my rent and the utilities, everything that was involved with it, and all I had to do was sign the papers. And it was one of the best things that ever happened to me. I couldn't believe it. I never had anything like that happen to me. And it was great to be in a community where there were like various artists of different, you know, genres of work and stuff, and talk to them, and, you know, just learn a little bit about this, that, and the other. And it was just a great feeling to be around artists all the time. In fact, I probably spent more time here in the studio than I did at home, and I noticed that because my utility bills at home were like really low. So the end of my year here, which happened in, I came here in October of 2018, and of course my tenancy was up in October of 2019, and I got a phone call. I was like coming up here to the studio. I was going to start packing because I didn't know if I was going to be staying. I didn't think I could afford it. And I got a phone call from the bookkeeper, and she said, hey, your patron was just in here, and she paid for another year, and you're good until December of 2020. And I'm like, what? I said, you're kidding. And she goes, no. She says, you're all paid up. So I called Marilyn up and I thanked her profusely. I said, Marilyn, I said, thank you just doesn't seem to be enough.
Right.
I said, is there something I can do for you? Can I do a picture of your family, of your dog, or, you know, is there something I can paint for you? And she's like, no. And she says, well, there is something you can do for me. And I said, well, what's that? And she said, enjoy your studio, keep on painting, and have fun.
And are you?
Yes, and I've been here, and I'm having a blast. Like I said, I'm here more than I am at home, except when the weather is really good. But no, it's a great experience. I've met lots of artists. I've developed more friendships with different people. I've gone to some of their events, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful place to be for anybody that wants to participate in this kind of venue. It's just really exciting to be here, and the staff, everybody's like super friendly. And in fact, if it wasn't for the maintenance workers, I would be climbing stairs, which is a little hard, and because they get the elevator for me, and at all times of the day or night. I call them up at 2 o'clock in the morning, and they go, oh, the elevator's not here, I need to go home. And they're quite willing to come down and
Wow.
let me out.
No, that's great to hear. Thank you, Paul. Great story. And Malika, how about you? When did your relationship with Pajama Factory first begin?
My relationship started in 2009, but it was really more so through my husband. He spent more time here than myself. I can relate to Sarah.
Yeah.
I can relate to Sarah with the culture shock because I'm from Philadelphia. And I spent most of my time in Philadelphia or New York. So this is very different, a lot more laid back. One of the reasons I really love it here is something that Mark had mentioned one day when I was watching an interview of him. I felt that way, but I couldn't think of the words. And when I watched the interview, he said he likes the fact that it's coming together organically. And that was kind of really how I would have phrased it versus, you know, anything else, you know, because some people may come here and just see a lot of beauty, and other people may come and say, oh, it looks like it needs work. So it depends on, you know, kind of how you look at it. The specific memories that I have here are, my husband has had about 4 different studios in this building. And the one that I'm most fond of is the one that you're in. Because he was a neighbor with, Val, yeah, and I miss Val. When I come here, I was looking for her. She was just so awesome with sewing, yes. And so my husband was a teller, has been a teller since he was probably about 15 or 16 years old. And so, which is like 30 years. So Val was always interested more in him than he was himself, which was my thing with my husband, you know. I was more interested in what he did and just making things. So that's like one of my memories here is like about, I would attend some of the things she had when I was here because I wasn't here as often. And then my other memory was before it became what it is now, my husband actually had an event here because he used to do event planning and have different concerts and things. And he did a concert for an artist in Philadelphia. And actually, he's wearing that artist shirt now. This shirt you see on this artist still exists. And so he did a show here. And that's one of a big memory for me. But it's before, you know, it became what it is now. So one of the areas where they actually, where's that area? Is that where they had the weddings where Gilly performed?
No, it's a where everyone on the
Okay.
side, the whole side.
Yeah, that's where
Where
the
Mark's
performers,
office is.
yeah.
I mean, where Mark's place is.
Yes.
The whole side was open at the time.
So-
As soon as you come up the south steps, once you come up and you're on the south side, the whole place was open. And so that's where you had the venue right there. And very cheap too.
It was inexpensive, and since my husband had been here in Williamsport so many years and came up here from family young, you know, he would always go back and forth between here and Philadelphia and things like that, building and working, and then he found this place and it kind of worked out. And So that was one of my really big memories when Gilly the Kid came and performed here for my husband, to give the community something to do. Preferably some of the urban African-American community that didn't have as much to do here in Williamsport. So they really enjoyed it. And then after that, it kind of turned into this, and it's just always been a place for him to come, like he said, at night, do things. We would come here. It was very relaxing. And even if you don't get a chance to run into people, you could walk through the halls and enjoy it. That's what I like. You can walk through the halls and see, people's work. Up on the third floor is rather cozy. You can go through there and see, And so since my husband's been here, he's went from, of course, making clothes to then even making some linen and pillows and things like that, into making furniture. So it's been an experience. And you can just be yourself here, And sometimes that's difficult for people, even as adults. It's difficult, depending on what's going on. When you can come somewhere and just be totally relaxed is probably the most important thing. If you ask what the most important thing is.
Yes.
And I think that's the most important thing.
Thank you, Malika. That's beautiful. And Ernest, we've heard a little from Malika about your work, but
Again, I'm Ernest Jackson. Been here for 10 years. And my relationship with the Pajama Factory is I'm a teller. And I'm a teller at my own, do it when I want.
so a tailor is someone who designs clothes?
Clothes, yes.
Okay.
Yes, create, designs clothes.
Mm-hmm.
And also dabbled into making furniture, mainly beds. My biggest moment was when I did do that venue for the artists here. It opened my eyes to a place that was right in the center of the city. And once I did the venue, which it was very cheap to do, and you get to get $100 back when you clean up. We cleaned up so fast. so right then and there, I was like, I like that place. And after that, a friend of mine had a recording studio here. And I didn't know it, but me and him were close because he had it in his house. And he said, I moved to the Pajama Factory. And that was a few months after my venue. So then I came, and he introduced me to the staff. And I then became a tenant here. And he left and I stayed. And I've been here moving all around the building. The best thing I like is you can come here at your leisure. When you walk through the building, you breathe art of every kind.
Yeah.
Art of every kind. And the thing I like about the community of being here is no matter who you are, you have some kind of art. And you get to take and use that art, show that art, make that art for people, or for yourself, or just to express who you are, and with the low cost of the rent, and like this fella said, he was gifted, so it's really a pleasure being here.
Yeah, the low cost of the rent. Coming from where we come from, the rent is very inexpensive. It's like double, maybe triple more in Philadelphia. In New York, it's quadruple. You would never get this kind of space. And I'd rather have this place and travel if I had to.
Yeah.
Right.
It's cheaper to have a space than even when you include the gas.
And then you think about it. If Mark comes from New York, he knows expensive rent.
Yeah.
That's right.
And to give us a break.
That's
That's
right.
why I say they need to up the price.
Well, we've seen the prices actually fluctuate since we've been here. Once you're here for a while, which they have to do, and you can respect that, and it's still worth it. It's still worth it. We just were talking to someone, real quick, if I could say this, talking to someone who is a very great attorney in Williamsport and has been here for a long time, raised all of his children. He has a granddaughter, Talia, who's an artist, and he was talking about how excited she was. And I said, Talia could come to the Pajama Factory. And he said, I've heard so much about it, but I've never been there. And he's been living here 40 years. Never been here. So he said he would bring his wife over to have coffee because he heard that the coffee shop was
Yeah, he says he's been meaning to come here.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
one thing from being a newbie. It seems like I just figured everybody knew about the Pajama Factory.
Right.
Like it was a thing. And they're like, the what? And I live here. And I'm like, how do you not know this?
Yeah.
Awesome little spot.
I always say the factory, go to the factory.
Yeah, that's he.
Go to the factory. I try to keep it hard in
Yeah.
the factory.
See, I love the spirit of conversation that's happening because when you listen to each other's stories, it kind of makes you think of other things you'd like to add.
Yes.
So thank you both, Malika and Ernest. And now let's go back around again because as you were listening to what people said, Judy, is there anything else that you would like to add about the factory that you may have been inspired from what someone said today?
I guess I'm just happy with this is all to come. You know, we started out, our downtown was terrible, our town was, you know, and it was a group of artists who said, well, let's put more art in the downtown. And then the thing just kept growing and growing and growing, and it's been beautiful for everyone. It's just been wonderful for everyone, and the artists have been incredibly generous. I said when we started, we gave, we had a little grant and we gave $300 to an artist to build. We thought they were going to do a wrought iron heart that we could put on one of the buildings downtown because we wanted to get public art. And we were going to call it the Heart of Downtown. And that big piece of art that's across from Otto's, well, that artist went out and he got people to give him steel and people to give him concrete. And he even got the guy that he worked for to come with a backhoe and put it in. I was having a nervous breakdown. I didn't know if the insurance covered it. I was like, oh. But yeah, it's just been, and I guess community is the thing. Like, I love art also. But you know, you can do art on your own, but doing it together, this has just become this powerful experience for us in the town. And, you know, so but it's nice to hear
Yes.
others say it. That's really
right.
beautiful.
That's right.
Yeah,
Thank you,
that's
Judy. That's so true. And Sarah?
I'm just excited to see where everything goes and how it all comes together. It's just inspiring to see, you know, I don't know how it's been, I'm just coming in with fresh eyes, but it's like, you know, the momentum and it's just all coming, seems like it's all coming together. It seems like a good things happening. I just can't wait to see.
And Sarah, what exactly do you do in your
I do
studio?
fiber arts, so I do a lot of felting, dyeing, eco printing with plants, and all sorts of stuff. That's really cool.
Great. Thank you. Wonderful. And Terry?
Well, I'm excited also, like you were saying, to see where this goes. Growing up here, I guess, I've been here 50 years. But growing up here, I've seen like such a change over time of like what it used to be and ideas of what it could be. And there was a place here called The Factory, a dance studio back in the 80s. And you know, like, and then you said you did the concert down there. And I'm like excited for more stuff like that for young people.
Yeah.
And, you know, hopefully somebody will hear this and come in and realize that there's a platform to do that and to grow, expand, and be themselves. And I love that you said that because it's a place you can just come be yourself and you don't have to worry about like people being like, well, what are you doing? Well, why do you do that? You know, it's just, it's absolutely amazing. Yeah, where'd you go to school? But I'm just really excited to see it keep expanding. I mean, I just think it's wonderful. Like, to me, this is like Wonderland, you know? Because when, back in the 80s, what's his name? Ray Smith. Like, I was friends with his son, so I got to run the whole building. And it's just, I don't know, it's just like I've watched it, like, evolve. And I just think it's amazing. And I hope more artists come in and see the opportunities here and feel welcome to come in and just take a look at it. And see, you were saying about doing your felting. Like, I'm kind of excited to see what I can end up doing down there. We don't have like water in our studio, but we wanted to do painting classes, so we're trying to figure that out.
Well,
But-
ask Mark, talk to Mark about it, because Mark always told me, he said, if you need
Yeah.
water, come talk to me and we'll discuss.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Mark
that's-
is open for everything.
Yeah, he is. And another thing about Mark and the place here, if you need tables, you just let them know, hey, I need tables, I need chairs, I need the elevator to be available, and they set it up for you. It's like not a problem.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't ask, that's just
Don't know.
stupid. But yeah, it's
I
very
always felt like I was
accommodating.
like bothering people,
Oh,
because I need
not
like an
at all.
elevator constantly,
Yeah.
even though it's wool and light, it's like.
Yeah, and other people help other people too.
Yeah.
Like I've had Brian, I don't know, is Brian gonna come in or, no? But I've had Brian just just like, text him or on Facebook and just be like, hey, do you know if anybody's gonna be there so I can get the elevator up? And it's very accommodating, it's growing, it's flourishing, there's no limit on what it can be.
Right.
No limit.
And I think that is beautiful, no limits whatsoever. And I know there's other projects in the works that aren't my place to talk about, but some really exciting, cool things going on here.
Great, thank you, Terry.
You're welcome.
That's great. And Paul, would you like to share anything else?
Well, I'm really happy that the staff is so friendly up here. I met Mark one of my first couple of weeks here, and he was very accommodating. The people in the office, anytime I've had any kind of a problem, I've gone down there and they've helped solve it. They're just really, really friendly. The maintenance workers, to be called up at 11, 12 o'clock, like, hey, I need the elevator. It takes them a couple minutes to get, okay, I'll be there. And if I can't get home, then I just call the bookkeeper and she calls somebody and they hook me up. And that and all the artists themselves, all different types of art that's done up here, fabric and clay and stone and all kinds of things. I've met a lot of the artists up here. And I've even expanded my own artistic abilities. I went from being a lead pencil portraitist to a watercolor landscape and portrait person, and dabbled in acrylics, which I really don't like. And I even did a portrait of Jesus Christ in embroidery, and I actually sold that. And I've never done embroidery in my life, and I was like, wow, this is so cool because there's so much stuff to learn here. And when you meet other people and you see what they do and the stuff they produce, and it's just really interesting. I just really love the Pajama Factory. It's one of the best things that ever happened to me. So, that's about where I'm at with that.
Thanks for sharing your heart, Paul. Malika?
So if I was going to add anything, because I could talk about the pajama. I started to research the Pajama Factory after a while. Because I'm like, I met a lady in the library here in Williamsport, and we were talking, and she knew that I would come here and work in the Pajama Factory with my husband. And she said, my mother used to work there years ago. She started telling me when it was actually a pajama factory. So I said, I'm going to research. So I started researching, which I do that with everything. I started researching, and I found out that this was even the place where they made Keds sneakers here, and things like that. And then even before that, when I first got here, I asked Ernest, what's Equinox? So then Val had filled me in on Equinox, and then I started looking into it, and I even actually ordered a few camping things from Equinox. And no matter where you are, if you look it up, it'll say that it's, here in Williamsport is where it all starts, where they make everything. And then the other things so Mark, I like to say this about Mark, he will do community things, and I think it's kind of up to us to participate in them. Because last year, they had a spring event, you come out, people are set up, doors are open. He's had a one-man play that we've attended, which was very, very nice. So a few different things. And then just recently, the potluck is how I met Terry and her daughter, and found out they were in the same studio. So, when things come up, if I'm able to, I like to come in because they do try to keep the community together. As you said, Paul, the office, Iris, Ron, the people in the office, they're so good. I can say a lot about them and just accommodating you and helping you and making sure you can fill out a form to get this, that, or anything. So that's been good. And it was something else that was on my mind because I was trying not to be so long-winded about all the great things here. But I don't know, maybe while Ernest is talking, it won't be so much.
Yeah, Ernest, did you think of anything else you'd like to add about your experience here or your work?
Yes, well, for one, I grew up roller skating. So I always say there should be a shop downstairs that deliver everybody food on roller skates. Because of the wood floors.
Yes.
I always said that my dad, he worked at a roller skating rink when I was 2. No, he worked there when he was 9 years old. Then when I was 2 years old, he started, gradually getting ready to own the place. So he retired there 3 years ago. But just roller skating, looking at the floor, that's why my floors were done. Because I seen the crap off those floors, yeah. And, as far as adding to the place, like I said, Mark is always open because I said to him many years ago, Mark, I'm glad I ran into you. You should get some solar panels on the roof. He said, Ernest, I love you. And just a few months ago, I did not know that they were he was getting funded to do the parking lot. And I bought some carrot cakes. And I said, Mark, there's a guy in Philadelphia that makes these carrot cakes. We grew up on them.
Yeah.
And I brought about 20 to the office. And I said, we can sell these for the parking lot. And he shrugged my shoulders and said, Ernest, I love you. You always have an idea for everything. I said, well, I don't know where any money is going, but this money could be funny for that. You know, I said, because I don't want to take from wherever any money is lied to, but this can help for this, you know. He said, you always have good ideas. And then I was just walking down the hall this morning, and I said, you know, we should get some strips of wood to go across the wall so it don't mess up the sheetrock, and everybody can nail their things to the strips of wood. Have one at like 7 foot and then 5 foot. And I was just thinking about, so I'm constantly thinking.
Yeah.
I can drive from here to Philadelphia without the radio on by myself just thinking.
He left out that he's a builder.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I didn't
he's
want to
built things that are in our house, he's built our bed, he's built, just a number of things, and he gets that, from his father too. And it's interesting, like, just everything, because I've known him since I was 3.
Yeah.
We've been married 6 years.
And I also I was thinking, some of us that have like art shops, and I'm saying, Mark, I have a washer and dryer that's not in use. Maybe we can use that for some of the rough things that a person would put their clothes in. And he said, we're going to talk. Because some, like for example, you may have like a piece of denim or canvas that you always use, but you just want to wash it, to soften it up or whatever. Not to sell, but just to constantly use it. And I have a wash and dryer that I stumbled upon that was in this old house that I had brought in. It's like, we can use that, They said he was going to get a wash and dryer set for the tenants upstairs, like Cohen use or whatever.
That brings me back to what I was thinking. So what I was thinking, and me and Mary talked a little bit about it, is just a little directory for people to maneuver around in the building, but also, and I had planned on it, he's been telling me, go in the office and talk to them about it. I didn't want to talk too much in detail and obligate myself to anything until I knew I was ready to participate in it, you know what I mean? But, and so I think I'm a little closer to that, so I think if we just get the website and some things on social media popping a little bit more, it would actually bring a lot more. Sometimes I also think to myself when I look at things on social media, that less is more, and it's just a nice area, and people will come, but I also realize that there's businesses here. And I watch people become very, very successful through being able to reach out and get their things out to people that you wouldn't normally have access to. So for us to be able to at least have a directory on a website or something on social media that tells people where everyone is, because I'm actually very interested in coming to visit. I've been in your shop just really quickly to come visit where everyone is and see what you have, because I'm a shop controller.
That's a great idea, Malika, and thank you for those suggestions. What we just experienced today is really what the heart of Williamsport is all about, is hearing people's stories and having other people hear each other's stories, because together we inspire each other and we become the community which we all value. We all love that community, and just by getting to know each other and what we do and hearing our stories, we get to experience how good it feels to be in community and to know the past, which is so interesting, and the present, where we are now, and the possibilities, which is the artist's dream, is the creative process of all that we could do. So there's a lot to look forward to, limitless possibilities, And it sounds like you all have your heart in the Pajama Factory. So we thank you so much for coming out on this snowy day and sharing your stories. And we'll conclude at this point and let you all get home safely.